Alright, we're doing the Vlogmas. Here I am in my home gym. I can't wait until I have a YouTube studio. And the reason that I don't have one right now is because I was the victim of contractor fraud. So what we're going to be talking about today is some law, and that there are like horrific things that people can do and it's not a crime. And my mind just keeps getting more and more blown as I go throughout life and find out more and more specific examples. So the last time I was involved in such a in-depth legal investigation was when I got fired for having cancer. And I'll be honest, there were a few legal See, this is why I really need a YouTube studio. So there were like some legal disappointments in the first legal adventure, we'll call it, that I ever went on. I always wanted to go to law school since then because it's just so important to me to know as much as I can about stuff. And just briefly, like, it drives me nuts when like random people are like, oh, I'm gonna go to medical school. Like, it's like saying like, oh, I'm gonna be an astronaut. Like, so I'm not like knocking law school, but like objectively I'm pretty intelligent and like really good at multiple choice tests. So the reason I want to go is because I just feel there's so much about law to learn, and it would be like really handy. You know how many, like, to be honest, this is gonna sound like an exaggeration, but with my companies I have 9 different lawyers, because there's like real estate law and tax law, and then of course malpractice law, and then like investment law. Like, I can't name all. See, if I went to law school I would know all the different types, but a lot of times I'm like, gee, if I was a lawyer. So the point of this story is that I have an currently amateur fascination with law. I read a lot of law books and watch full case trials, full court trials, like from start to finish, like every witness, and I do fast forward through the lunch breaks and stuff. And I fully intend, once my kids start not wanting to spend time with me, I'm gonna go to law school, because like now the kids have to be the priority. But I'll give you some like weird law tidbits that you would know if you're a lawyer, but like I don't think normal people know. So more specifically, wrapping things around to why I don't have the YouTube studio. For the construction fraud, any reasonable person would be like, yeah, this guy stole 30 grand from you, that's a crime. And it is, and thank goodness, like all the things fit together for it to be a crime, and I have a letter stating it's a crime and it's being investigated. But well, maybe I'm giving criminals secrets. Okay, now if you're a criminal, just tune it out. If he, the contractor, or like literally anybody in his company would have just come in and taken a hammer to the wall or done something, then these are the loopholes, people. This is why I want to go to law school. Then it wouldn't have been a crime. It would have been a civil matter, which I had to dispute in civil court. And I'm a little like reached my limit with civil courts right now. So I'm glad I went to criminal court, because he didn't go in and take hammer to anything. I mean, the guy did nothing. The $30,000. So I don't trust people in general. I mean, after the life I lived, no one would. But it's not like I just went and handed the guy $30K. I took a $100,000 business loan for renovation of the building that I had purchased. And by the way, like, a lot of this money is obviously like loan, but a lot of this money is my own money that I saved for years. I could have purchased myself a Lamborghini and call it a day, but now I wanted to have a nice welcoming office that is modern and had like cool gadgets, a fresh feel, and a YouTube studio. Is that asking for so much? So he stole from me, he stole from the bank, but ultimately I have to pay the bank back. And with interest. So what I gave him was, most people don't come and do work and then ask for the money. What I gave him was like an upfront, it's like 1/3 of what the project was going to be. And then I also gave him more for flooring, and his employees said that every time they ordered the flooring, he would just cancel it and keep the money. So he's a trickster. But had he actually come in and done anything, then it would be a civil matter and the police would not get involved. So I lucked out that he did nothing, because there was another victim. He actually went and like poured concrete on the ground randomly, which, by the way, they had to pay to get rid of that mess. That isn't a crime, that's a civil matter. So that, in my opinion, that's even worse, because it's like, he did nothing, but then he did do something that I had to pay to redo. So I feel like it's not how much evil is there, it's just how much the written law parts are there. So in the case where somebody paid him $100,000 to do a pool and he just poured concrete into a hole, and then they had to pay somebody to remove the weird concrete, and he literally didn't do anything useful with their $100,000, that's not a crime, and the police would be like, we're not getting into that, that's a civil matter. So to me, that's pretty awful. Another part of this that and I will get to my understanding of why it's not a crime in a little bit. I try to see both sides. I'm not this confirmation bias person that I go and I'm like, let's find all this evidence to support why my thoughts are right. I did an investigation as to why it is this way, and it's a pretty decent point. Okay, but we'll get there. Another thing is, he starts a business. There's been 20 of them, by the way. One of them is a boxing glove store. One of them's a yoga studio. Anyway, he's not a contractor. He's just a fake business guy. So he starts a business. He hires a bunch of employees. He never pays them. Eventually they figure out they're never getting paid, and they either just quit or stop showing up to work, and he fires them. And then repeats the process. Sometimes at the same business, everybody's gone, and then he opens up a new cycle and starts employing new people, and then doesn't pay them, and they figure it out, and then they leave. Eventually, like, people catch on and he can't keep doing that, so then he'll start a new business in a completely different industry, an investment company, what have you. But the police are telling, no, I don't know all of them in every case, just the ones I've heard about, is the police are saying that that's not a crime. It's like funny, because it's like, yeah, that's obviously a crime. It's slavery. You can't force people to work for you and not pay them. We know that that's wrong. People are humans. They have to pay their rent. They have to buy food. What? That's like one of the wrongest things you could do. How is that not a crime? Like, I know a guy who got his kids taken away because he had to work for him because it was the only job he could get, but he wasn't getting paid, and he had to pay child support. Like, RIP is messing up people's lives. This is a crime, but the police are like, nope, not a crime. So this is the part where we get into trying to understand the other side. It was explained to me that it used to be a crime to owe people money. There was a thing called a debtor's prison, and you would get sent there. So RIP would have been there 20 years ago. But debtor's prisons are probably not very ethical or moral. And I can understand if you are a genuine person, you borrow money and then something happens and you can't get it back. You shouldn't go to jail for that. But we know that RIP, that's not, I'm going to sneeze. Woo! We know that RIP is maliciously planning to do this. So if I was a lawyer, I might do something to maybe like, okay, but if you're like owing people money knowing that like that's your plan all along, it should be a crime. But now I understand debtors' prisons are not a good thing, and that's why that part of his criminal enterprise isn't criminal. Although to me it still seems pretty criminal. So many employees bounce paycheck.